Good morning. We are extremely pleased that you are here. It is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating. Do you agree? You are knowing what you are wanting for the most part. You are enjoying the evolution of that desire, ever-evolving, fresh, new desire. Fresh, new, unfulfilled desire. Fresh, new, life-giving, source-summoning desire. You find yourself standing in the incompletion of something that you want, feeling eager about its fulfillment, but happy in the process, then our work is done. For that is truly what we desire for you. That you benefit from the contrast that produces the new desire, and you feel the life-giving exhilaration of the new desire calling through you. And even though there is always something more to be fulfilled, so you are never complete, you stand in your incompletion pleased with the ongoing process. That's what life is. It is an unfinished, ongoing process. And as long as you understand that, then when something is not yet completed that you are desiring, you say, this is the process. It is unfolding perfectly. I'm right on schedule. But when you feel dissatisfied with your progress, that's where things go wrong. Because in that dissatisfaction, you begin to offer a vibration that doesn't let it be fulfilled. So you hold yourself in this sort of eternal limbo where there is always something wanted and always discomfort about it not being completed. And then this ensuing feeling of unworthiness begins to sweep over you, and you begin to exaggerate it and drag it around with you year after year, complaining about what isn't finished, instead of feeling exhilarated that there is so much unfinished. That is the biggest difference between you and your physical bodies and your non-physical inner being perspective. The inner being part of you is thrilled that there is so much more to be experienced. And the physical part of you is often discouraged that you have not yet completed something or other. Remember when you were children, or better still, look at the children around you and see their enthusiasm for what is to be discovered without any contempt for self about what is undiscovered. In other words, they are in that joyous, life-giving, fresh place, exactly where you intended to be, and where sometimes you are. And this gathering, this workshop, is pointed toward helping you to return to that place, to that leading edge place, that juncture where your source meets your physical perspective in perfect balance. You see, when you are perfectly aligned with your source, oh, you feel so good. That's what peaceful contentment is. It's also what unabiding enthusiasm is. Passion is a full flowing of who you really are through you in this moment. But for who you really are to be flowing through you fully in this moment, you cannot be offering any vibrational resistance. You have to be vibrationally up to speed with who you really are. We are all electrical more than anything else. And while it might be easier for you to acknowledge that source or non-physical is electrical while you are flesh, blood, and bone, we promise you, you are much more electrical than you are flesh, blood, and bone. You are vibrational beings. Everything about you is vibrational. And when you accept that you are vibrational and you begin to pay attention to your vibration, that's when you begin to find some creative control of your experience. Vibrations are a big part of your experience. You hear because you translate vibration. You see because you translate vibration. You smell and taste and touch because you translate vibration. And you understand your connection to your source because you have emotions that are translating vibration. Your emotions let you know your vibrational harmony or disharmony with your source. The better you feel, the more in alignment you are. The worse you feel, the more out of alignment you are. It is just that simple. We talk about fear and guilt and blame and anger and joy and love and appreciation and exhilaration. But really, there are only two emotions: One feels good and one feels bad. One allows source, one doesn't. One is flowing, one is resisting, one is allowing, one is not allowing. In other words, when you feel good, you are in the state of being the extension, the physical, leading edge, creative extension of source energy. So, what keeps anyone from being in that place of allowing the fullness of who you are to flow through you? Well, you've practiced some thoughts that got a pretty good toehold. You call them beliefs. And we want to point out here that there are many, many beliefs that you hold that serve you extremely well. There are some beliefs that you hold that are not serving you so well. These beliefs are just thoughts that you keep thinking. And something happened in your experience to cause you to think the thought long enough that it began to reverberate within you enough that it began to feel familiar. And then law of attraction just takes over and keeps bringing you thoughts more like it. Law of attraction is complicit in your joy and in your pain, because law of attraction does not try to judge the appropriateness of your thought and then allow you to have it or not. Law of attraction just matches you up with anything that is a vibrational match to what's dominant within you. So as you begin to think about your vibrational nature, it is really helpful to ask yourself, what am I dominantly vibrating here? Not so much, what am I vibrating in this moment when I'm responding to something, because it's normal when you put your hand on the hot stove to feel the discomfort of the hot stove, while it's not necessarily normal to walk around with your hands on the stove. And so it's helpful to realize that you will bump up against things that don't feel good, and that's not a big thing. It's the things you keep doing. It's the laying your hand on the stove and leaving it there long enough that it begins to get stuck, or that it begins to be a habit. That is what we are wanting to address here. So we want to talk about the vibrations within you, or the beliefs within you, as thoughts or vibrations, thoughts that you keep thinking. So the good question to ask is, what is my dominant vibration? For example, when you think about money, do you mostly feel free and happy and excited, or do you feel worried and limited? You can tell which of those is more dominant within you on that subject. When you think about your body, do you feel free and alive? Do you feel eager and vital? Or do you feel worried and tentative? You can tell by the way you feel which is the more often offered thought. When you think about your predominant relationship, does it feel like fun and fancy and freedom and joy and adventure and motion forward? Or does it feel like struggle and hard work, bondage? You can tell. And we know that you feel some of all of that some of the time. The question that we are asking you is, which is the most dominant vibration within you? Because whatever is the most dominant vibration within you is the one that's playing out in your life experience. And what most people do not understand is that you have the ability to choose what the dominant thoughts are. Now, a dominant thought or a dominant vibration is just the one that is activated most often. And the reason we put it to you in those terms is because every thought you've ever thought still exists. Every thought that has ever been thought still exists. And so, you know how when you'll be driving down a stretch of land, it happens to Jerry all the time because he was an entertainer and covered this nation for many years. So he has lots of memories in lots of places. And as they travel in the monster bus now today, down some of those roads, it often activates some of those old memories within Jerry. He'll begin telling Esther stories. She'll say, we've been together nearly 25 years and I still hear things I've never heard before from you. And it's because those things were not activated within his vibration before something familiar triggered them or activated them. So what we are suggesting to you is that you get to be more of a deliberate chooser of which of those vibrations get triggered or get activated. By deliberately practicing vibrations and making them a more familiar part of your vibrational pattern, you can control how you vibrate, which means you can control your point of attraction. So when we think about a thought that is active, a vibration that is active, let's say you've seen something on television and it has activated your sense of vulnerability. And so we say, well, that's not helpful for you. And you say, okay, I will deactivate it. Well, what you notice is you cannot deactivate a thought, because in the moment you go to deactivate a thought, You think about the thought that you want to deactivate, and you activate that thought. So it is not possible to deactivate a thought, but it is possible to activate another thought. So the whole point that we're wanting to assist you with here, as you are wanting to be the deliberate controller of what is activated within you, is that you deliberately activate thoughts, and then law of attraction will respond to the thoughts that you have activated, and easily, within a week or two, begin to bring you more and more thoughts that match the deliberately activated thought, and then you're off and running. We have a process that we've been offering recently with great success to those who've been applying it, and we call it virtual reality. Sometimes people think that they have utilized this process before because they are knowing about creative visualization, or they are knowing about the creative workshop. What we are wanting you to address with this subject of virtual reality is something that is different from that. Virtual reality is a process where we suggest that you apply it for one reason only, and that is to practice a vibration of your choice until it becomes the dominant vibration. So of course, in your virtual reality, you're wanting to practice vibrations that feel good. Now, it may seem silly that we would make such a big thing out of practicing a vibration just for the point of feeling good. But it is so important, because when you practice a vibration just for the point of feeling good, and you feel good, you set up a pattern of vibration within you that law of attraction begins to respond to, so it gets easier and easier. And this dominant thought that is within you is not resisting the well-being that you've been asking for. Now, that's the most important thing that we could ever say to you. Well-being wants you. Well-being is the order of your life experience. Well-being is the way you intended to feel. It's the natural way for you to be. Anything other than that is because you have learned thoughts along your physical trail that are causing you to offer vibrational resistance that is not allowing the well-being in. In other words, you have found some thoughts and somehow made them dominant, which means they are such a consistent vibrational pattern within you that you have, without knowing it, set up resistance within you that is disallowing the well-being that would be there otherwise. It is normal for you to be abundant in all things that you consider to be good. Clarity, vitality, stability, financial abundance, physical wellness. In other words, all good things are making their way to you, and you are, whether you are consciously aware of it or not, asking for these good things constantly, because you are focused in a contrasting environment that continually stimulates your preferences. So at all levels you are asking for well-being, which means consciously or unconsciously you are achieving step one, ask. Step two is taken care of without your awareness. Source energy takes care of step two. Everything that you ask for, universal forces eagerly and actively and effectively comply. No exception. But step three is where most of you go wrong, and that is you've got to be in the receiving mode of what you're asking for. And if you're not, then you're not letting it in. It's not that it's not being offered, but you may not be letting it in. Someone asked us recently, why are some prayers answered and others are not? And we said all prayers are answered, but some prayers, the result of your desire is being allowed by you, and sometimes the result of your desire is not being allowed by you. And then we said, consider a prayer that's offered from step one. You're in this contrasting place where things are not going well. You've got this problem, and from this place of awareness of this problem, you utter your prayer. So what happens? You're more of a vibrational match to what's going wrong than you are a vibrational match to what you are desiring, and you can't let it in, even though it is being answered. So we said, it's all right to pray from step one. It's all right to cry out from your place of discouragement or distress for what you want. In fact, it's perfectly normal. Step one happens. In other words, these preferences happen. When do you most ask for wellness? When you're sick. When do you most ask for more money? When there isn't enough. When do you most get really serious about a good relationship? You know. So there's a lot that goes on from step one, a lot of asking, a lot of praying. We said to this friend, consider praying from step three. She said, well, what's the difference between a prayer offered from step one and a prayer offered from step three? And we said a step one prayer sounds sort of like, oh, please help me. I'm in this terrible jam and I don't know what to do. And a prayer from step three sounds like, I love my life and I'm so appreciative of all the good that has come to me. Can you feel the difference? When you are in a place of appreciation,